It sucks. I promised myself that I would get it done by Friday, but as I'm sitting in front of my laptop and staring at a blank page, hitting backspace every 2 minutes, before I could finish a passage, I've already started to criticize everything I just wrote. This is not the right word. This doesn't make sense. This is stupid. And 2 hours later, I'm back to ground zero. So many times I try to start a new personal project or build new habits. I get all excited and motivated at the beginning, spending hours researching and reading, trying to come up with the most comprehensive plan, having high hopes that I will make the best thing possible or do the habit every single day without a miss. But then, once I hit a wall, have something else get in the way. The excitement quickly fades out. I begin to criticize and resent myself for not being able to work through them. Then anxiety and shame take over. Things I used to enjoy have become increasingly overwhelming and difficult as I build up higher and higher expectations for myself. I can't help but find myself falling back into instant gratification before realizing the damage I've done and criticizing myself even harsher. I've read self-help books and watched way too many motivational videos, but nothing seems to stick for long. It's like I'm constantly searching for that one magic solution that will suddenly make everything click into place. It's frustrating that no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to get out of this toxic cycle of starting and stopping, never really making any significant progress towards my goals. Why does everyone make it seem so easy and effortless? Why can't I do what they do? Am I just broken? Hi friends, it's been a while since we last catch up. I had just been taking some time away from social media to take care of my mental health because there has just been a lot of small things that had happened here and there in the past few months that became quite overwhelming altogether. And in the past month or so, I kind of realized that a lot of my issues and emotions that I experience actually come from me being a perfectionist. So that's why today I kind of just want to sit down and share some of my thoughts and experience on perfectionism. To be honest with you, I had never really thought that being a perfectionist was too much of a bad thing because for me personally, being a perfectionist means that I have a high standard for myself. It means that I'm not settling for mediocrity. Because looking back, I'm sure is that, desire to constantly self-improve that pushed me through a lot of the difficult emotions and struggles that I experienced over the years and got me to where I am today. But then once I looked more closely into it, that's when I kind of realized that being a perfectionist is not as benevolent as I thought it was, because that desire for excellence actually made me overthink a lot of the things that I say and do. I would take on multiple tasks on my shoulder and never really ask anyone for help because somehow in my mind I thought asking people for help was basically telling them that I'm not good enough to do the job or I can't handle the job myself. And I would hyperfixate on my mistakes and always self-criticize for not being able to do better. I would binge eat as a coping mechanism to deal with the stress and anxiety, which makes me even more upset and self-critical about myself. A few months back, I was experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety and self-doubt coming from perfectionism, and I was struggling. But I've always been a very independent person, so I thought I could handle it myself because that is just how I do things for as long as I can remember. I journal about it over and over again, and even though it did clarify some things for me, those feelings didn't really go away. I didn't want to reach out for my friends because I know that everyone has their individual lives to live and things to worry about. So the last thing I want to do is to burden them with my problems. And also, I thought I knew the best about myself. I know what my problem is, I know how to fix it, and it's my responsibility to handle it. So there is no point in telling others any of this. But after a while, whatever emotions that I was experiencing kind of just intensified, and everything just became super overwhelming to a point where I felt like I can't deal with it anymore. So that's why I've decided to try out therapy with BetterHelp, which is the sponsor for today's video. To be honest, for the longest time, I really thought that I would need therapy myself because I was so confident in my ability to handle everything on my own. But after a few sessions in, I kind of started to see how everyone, including those who are self aware of their issues, can benefit from getting therapy. Because a lot of the times when we are in the situations and going through pain, it's really hard to see ourselves objectively and not criticizing. So, having someone there who I can comfortably share my inner feelings with without worrying about how they would perceive me or if I would burn them in any way, someone who can give me objective and professional advice and remind me of all the progress that I've made over the years when I can't really see it myself. It's really valuable and comforting. And BetterHelp has a very easy and straightforward sign up process. All you need to do is go to their website and answer a few questions, and they will connect you to a licensed therapist based on your needs and preferences. And what I love about BetterHelp the most is the fact that I can literally do it anywhere I want, either over video calls, phone calls, or messages, which is really convenient and accessible. And if you also want to give therapy a try, go to betterhelp.com/carsway to get 10% off of your first month of therapy. But even without therapy, I don't think there's a need to isolate ourselves from other people. Because from all the stories I heard, nobody can do it alone, and everyone needs someone to rely on from time to time because everyone has their ups and downs. And just like we would want to be there for our friends when they're not doing well, people who truly love us and support us and care about us would also want to be there for us when we are struggling. And I know it's probably not the most intuitive thing to open up as we are going through it all, but people actually appreciate vulnerability and honesty way more than we think, which is something that I personally need to learn and consciously do as well. Do you know, we often think that we are fully aware of who we are and are in control of our decisions and thoughts, but in reality, a lot of our thoughts and behavioral patterns are actually driven by our unconscious mind. Events that had happened in the past that were left unresolved actually could have a really big impact on how we think and act now. And if you have watched some of my previous videos, you can probably tell that a lot of my life philosophies actually come from a place of becoming aware of such thoughts and behavioral patterns exist, understanding where they come from in the first place by making connections to our childhood experiences or our relationship with our parents or the external environment. Growing up in a culture that values excellence and achievements, from a very young age, I've kind of learned to self-imposed perfectionism in order to gain validation and recognition from my parents. Like if I can't do it well, then there is no point doing it at all, which is not a very healthy mindset because it stopped me from taking actions in the first place. And I don't think the world around us make it any easier to escape from perfectionism because we see so many Instagram posts and YouTube videos on a daily basis teaching us how to be more productive and how to make more out of our time. And we can't be lazy because there are people who wants the same thing as you, works 10 times harder than you are. We feel jealous about other people's successes and feel guilty and ashamed of ourselves for even taking a rest. So we willingly participate in pushing ourselves to the point of burnout. But don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to do our best and going after the things that we desire. But once that desire starts to consume us and constantly make us feel like we're not enough, it becomes toxic. For the longest time, I was in this cycle of constant dissatisfaction with myself, and I've never really appreciated what I have accomplished. And I've slowly lost the enjoyment even when doing the things that I love. Creating has become increasingly difficult because the standard I have for myself has gotten significantly higher and higher with each video that I make. It makes a lot of sense because when we create something that is received by the outside world, whether it be a video, a song, or a piece of writing, it's hard not to see ourselves in the work because creating at the end of the day is a form of self-expression. They are an extension of who we are. And the fact that we are putting ourselves out there, it makes sense that we want to do our best and create the best work possible. Like I would tell myself things like, it has to have meaning, it has to be good, it has to be a certain way, otherwise there is no point doing it at all. And as someone who puts a lot of thought and meaning into the things that I make, that kind of mindset has definitely helped me in some way, but over time, it has also made me really scared to start and complete a task because it's really hard to resist not to refine and correct things during the process of creating. And wanting to make something that is perfect for everyone and free from any criticism, it's impossible. And even if we don't care about what other people think of our work and we just want to make something that we think is great, but that means we are also putting ourselves in a box by adhering to a certain standard, and anything below that perceived idea of greatness is unacceptable. We'd miss out on opportunities to explore things outside of our imagination and be creative. There are times that we should definitely try our best and give our 100%, but I also think that there are also times that we should learn to let go and move on, and accepting that there is a limit to our capabilities and knowing when to leave a situation instead of dwelling on it to a point of letting it consume us is something that I think it's really important in finding a healthy balance in our lives. And for people like me who struggle with perfectionism, procrastination, starting is usually the hardest part because having that inner critic constantly telling you that you're not good enough and you're not ready yet prevents us from taking the first steps. And that is the most difficult part to overcome out of everything else, in my perspective. And I've been incorporating more mindfulness techniques into my daily lives. And every time when certain thoughts arise that prompt me to procrastinate, I would tell myself quite literally that I am experiencing all of these intrusive thoughts because I am trying to avoid the pain of starting imperfectly. But it's completely fine not having everything figured out right at the start, and it's okay to make something mediocre. All I need to do for now is to focus on whatever task is in front of me. I realize that if I spend too much time hesitating between different options or overthinking if I feel ready or confident enough to start, I usually end up procrastinating. So, by being mindful of our thoughts and taking actions immediately, we can stop ourselves acting from impulses. It's going to be uncomfortable at the beginning, but being able to sit through the discomfort of not knowing whether something will work or not and simply focusing on whatever task we have at hand rather than thinking too far ahead into the future, we are acknowledging the reality of our situation, and every step that we take helps us to figure it out what's coming next. Unlearning thoughts and behavioral patterns that we've been keeping for years is not an easy task. It's going to require a lot of conscious effort and patience, but it's a journey worth taking on. It's easy to get discouraged when progress seems slow or non-existent, especially when we live in a society that often prioritizes short-term successes and immediate results. But it's important to remember that every step, no matter how small, it's a move in the right direction. I've learned to appreciate the small wins, the little moments of progress that may seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but they are in fact milestones on my path to overcome perfectionism. Maybe today, I managed to start a task without overthinking every single detail, or I didn't let a minor setback derail my whole day. These are the moments that matter way more than trying to make it without a miss. Things are gonna get in the way, and we're not gonna feel our best all the time. And in times like that, what we can do is to be kind to ourselves and just take it one step at a time.